Welcome back to the channel, Crypto Trend Trader here. Today we're going to be taking a look at Bitcoin, but before we get started, I'd like to remind you this is not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile, so please do your own research and trade responsibly. So here we have the 4-hour Bitstamp chart. As you can see, we're essentially filling out this descending triangle. We had the flat support here at the bottom. We had stabbed down once, stabbed, consolidated, and got a powerful move back up, stabbed down again, and then we essentially got the head and shoulders, inverted head and shoulders reversal. Got the measured move up, established the top side of the range, came back down, to the bottom of the range, top of the range, and then we started reacting with this descending red, basically descending resistance line that we had been, reacting to. We then came down, filled out the triangle completely, finally got our stab down, broke the triangle, closed below it, broke below our green long time trend line here. We broke down below that as well, came all the way down almost to the bottom of the channel. We got the measured move of the triangle, and then as soon as we did, we got that stab down here, that slingshot, pull back, and then shot the price straight back up into the channel again. We busted through the red descending trend line resistance, came up to the heart line of the channel, the green heart line of the purple channel like that we've been basically trapped in this entire time since our 14,000 top. And now here we are, basically consolidating above that red trend line and then below the heart line of the channel. And what I would expect to happen here is as long as we stay above this green support line, that we continue basically to get walked up by the support line, essentially to the top of the channel. And the longer we take to get there, the lower it will be because it's slowly coming down here. But I would expect, that we could potentially reach prices as high as 8,500. And based on like longer time frame closes, like 4-hour on the shortest, daily, weekly, etc., is where I'm going to look to see where the market is headed after this. And as you can see, water tower explosion has gotten volume confirmation. We have a positive or blue slope. Looks good for now, trending to the upside, although we do see volume is starting to drop off, but that's not uncommon. And then we can see like another spike of green to the upside if we were going to continue in the way that we are, and potentially even hit the target to the downside and then the target to the upside as well. TJD VPCI gave us a awesome signal on this one, and is part of the reason we took the trade. We basically got our first two stabs down here, and we said typically we like to wait for 3 to 5 of these. So when we got the third one right here, it was obvious the move was not done because we were still powerfully, the slope of this was still powerfully moving to the downside. We finally got this one here, and then when we got the third of this series, or the fifth total, and then we saw the line of the VPCI, the blue line, is actually starting to trend back to the upside. We actually took our trade in this area here, got the stab down, and then took the move up. And then finally we were taken out of our trade when we took out the low of this candle right here at 71.69. We continue to move our stop loss up here, although in a situation like this you don't really have to worry about your stop loss getting taken out, because essentially what you're going to do is you're going to move your stop loss up to the low of the previous candle, and you're not even coming close to the low of the previous candle. Like, you're basically just getting straight continuation. And again, that's not financial advice. It's just a common trading technique that you move your stop loss up to the low of the previous candle in the event that it gets taken out. So if it were to move down to like 69.50 right here, or after this candle right here, if it was going to go lower than the 71.25, it would take you out of the trade, in the event that it was just going to sell straight back off. And to lock in those profits. So, and you don't have to take out your entire position, but it's smart to, take profits, so you don't potentially just give back everything that you've made. So anyway, not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. At this point in time, what I would expect to happen is, essentially we got this stab out of the range, and then we continued around in the range. We got the stab out of the range, and now we're continuing around in the range. We were able to make it past that red descending trend line. So the next thing that's going to happen here is we're going to try to make it past this green one. And, assuming that we get pinched right here and then we just pop right up, I would expect us to stay inside of this purple and blue range, until we don't. And as of now, I don't see any reason that we're going to need to break out of this range. Just like we've been talking about, it doesn't need to break until it breaks, and the most likely scenario is that we continue to trade around inside of this channel. So at this point in time, I think there is definitely potential that we could get continuation as high as like this 85, 8600 range, depending on how long it takes, or we could potentially just sell back off and come down here to like this 6,000, 6,200 range, etc. So as far as I'm concerned at this point in time, there's not any kind of trend reversal. It could be a temporary potential reversal inside of the channel, but until we start getting confirmed daily candle closes outside of this channel, one way or the other, there's no reason to think that anything has changed in this trend, that this is potentially just like a dead cat bounce and we're resetting the oscillators, like based on fib levels, based on moving averages, based on channel resistance, support, etc. That was a common place that we would see a bounce. And then the reaction and the follow through is what we're looking for to see if it was just a bounce or if it's in fact going to lead to a trend reversal. But at this point in time, nothing has changed. All that happened is we dumped out of that channel and then we pumped back into the channel. So if you look at price action is no different. It's no different than it was. We've been in here this entire time and we're still in here. So other than this little stab out right there, and this little stab out right here, nothing has changed. This could potentially lead to a double bottom in the long term, and we could reverse, and years from now we'll look back and say how obvious it was that it was a double bottom. But realistically, as of now, all this is just 2 times we hit a key support level, key fib level, and price got bought up. But if you test a resistance or a support, the more times you test it, the less likely it is to hold. So at this point in time, all we did was we tested it once, consolidated, tested it twice, consolidated. So if we test down a third time, it's more likely to break. As opposed to if we test up here, that would potentially give us a break of this consolidation range and then put us at the top of the channel, and then we could potentially see some kind of price action change from there. But as far as this is concerned, this change is absolutely nothing. A strong sell-off followed by a strong buy that leads us to the exact same place. All that is the market just testing one direction and the other. So you can say that that's a stop hunt, you can say that that's a liquidity grab, but essentially oftentimes when this happens, it's literally just the market trying to move in one direction or the other, and there's just not enough strength yet. And eventually over time, the liquidity will dry up and the price will move either to a higher or lower price based on the selling or buying pressure and supply and demand. So there we have it, guys. Crypto Trend Trader with a little Bitcoin update. Nothing has changed as far as I'm concerned in the long-term trend, although we could still potentially see some more upside. At this point in time, I'm not getting bullish on this asset, as long as we're inside the same exact channel, doing the same exact thing, although it is bullish that we did break above this red descending resistance and could potentially lead us up to the top of the channel if we can break through this green dotted heart line. But most of all, I just want to switch to a long-term real quick here and just remind everybody, you see this white parabolic trend line followed by the green parabolic trend line. When we broke through the white parabolic trend line, we capitulated. When we break through this green parabolic trend line, if we cannot hold above it, I think the most likely thing that's going to happen is we will once again capitulate and essentially find new parabolic support. So realistically at this point in time, we had got that. You can see the wick right here is massive. We got that wick down there, sold down, and then essentially it's just consolidated back above that support. So if we get a close down below that diagonal green trend line, like it's very clear that that's what we're interacting with at this point in time. If we do get a close and then potentially an open retest and fail, I would expect us to capitulate most likely down to the $4,300 range or potentially lower. So there you have it, Crypto Trend Trader, long-term trend analysis on Bitcoin. Signing off.